Ash Ketchum from Pallet Town, the Pokémon Anime's main protagonist ever since day one. He has traveled many regions, made lots of friends and, well, didn't quite catch them all, but I guess he's getting there. But today we celebrate his biggest victory yet, because on this very day 2 years ago he defeated his rival Gladion and became Alola's first ever champion, thus achieving a goal fans have been eagerly waiting for more than 20 years. As such, today is known as World Ash Ketchum Day, where we, the fans, celebrate all things Ash. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the goal of catching them all has never really been one of Ash's top priorities, but that isn't to say he never caught any Pokemon besides his partner Pikachu. In fact, he caught at least 5 Pokemon in each region he has been to yet, besides Galar, and was able to build quite a collection. And when you think of Ash Ketchum, what's the first type that comes to your mind? Well, of course, there's his partner's electric type, but other than that, his most iconic Pokemon must be from the fire type. But just how many Pokemon of each type did he manage to catch up until now? And which are the types Ash has teamed up with the most and least during his travels around the Pokemon world? That's exactly what I'm going to figure out today in order to celebrate Ash Ketchum. As such, I will take a look at every single Pokemon Ash ever owned, which includes those he caught, traded, or even just looked after for a while. The rule is that there are no exceptions. If Ash didn't simply accompany a Pokemon like he did with most movies mythicals, it counts as one of his. That includes Pokemon he only looked after, such as Larvitar. However, of course we can't let Pokemon such as Golking, which he only caught for a fishing tournament, count as much as, say, his Charizard. So I'll add an extra rule. Every Pokemon that is no longer under Ash's ownership only kinda counts. Yes, that even includes Pokemon such as Greninja, since, well, he released it. I know, the world's cruel. The difference this makes is that whenever he owns the same amount of Pokemon from 2 types, I will look at how many are still his, which will put that type higher on the list. And with that, I mean a Pokemon at Professor Oak's, Kukui's or Cerise's lab and the ones currently accompanying him. All clear? Then let's get down to it. Number 18. Being the newest addition to Pokemon's roster of types, it's no surprise that Fairy is in last place. In fact, Ash has only ever used a single Fairy type, being Mr. Mime. Now some might argue if it's really Ash's Pokemon and not his mom's, but like, he has its Pokeball, uses it in battle, and it's constantly by his side at the Cerise laboratory, so yeah, it does count as one of his. Still, just a single Fairy type is pretty weak, so let's hope he'll catch some more in the future. Number 17. Now this is kinda funny, and second to last place with also just one Pokemon is Electric. And that one Pokemon, of course, is Pikachu. I think lots of us associate Ash with Electric, I mean, he even has lightning cheeks. But there's a good reason why he only has one Electric type, and well, that's marketing. With Pikachu by his side, why would he even need another Electric type? It would only draw attention away from Pikachu, so I think it's safe to say he'll never really get another one. I put it above Fairy because, well, I think Pikachu counts more than Mr. Mime, but as soon as he inevitably uses another Fairy one day, Electric will probably forever stay in last place, despite being so iconic to Ash. Number 16. Now the next 3 types actually have the same amount of Pokemon, which is 2 in total, with one of them already being released, so I ordered them by how important I think the different Pokemon are. This one is the last out of those 3 because of, well, Mr. Mime. The Psychic type is one of the coolest types out there, so it's kind of sad to see so little representation in Ash's team. The only other Psychic types besides Mr. Mime he ever looked after was Nebby, but he never really fought with it until it evolved, so seeing Ash with a proper Psychic Pokemon as a mainstay in his team might stay a dream for a while. Number 15. Just like Psychic, this type holds 2 Pokemon, with one of them already being released, which is pretty funny since these 2 Pokemon are kind of the same. When Ash had a Haunter for just 1 episode, yes, we'll count that one, and gave it away after that, pretty much every child dreamed of him having a Gengar, and around 20 years later, Journeys fulfilled that dream by giving him not just a Gengar, but his first proper ghost type ever. And although Gengar hasn't been the best fighter in Journeys recently, it's simply cool to see this wish fulfilled. Number 14. This type also has 2 Pokemon, with one of them being released, but since the Ghost type Pokemon were from the same evolutionary line, I decided to put Ice above it. The only Ice type still in Ash's possession is his Glalie, but as we all know, he also used the Lapras during the Orange Island saga. Once again, a severely underrepresented type, especially because his Glalie doesn't seem to be one of the most memorable Pokémon out there. Number 13. During his travels through Alola, Ash finally caught his first Steel-type Pokémon with Meltan, and now in Journeys, his Lucario added on to that score. You could technically also count Nebby in its final evolution, but as a Solgaleo, it wasn't really looked after by Ash anymore, so I would only count it, I don't know, a bit. Anyways, the only real Steel type here is probably Melmetal, since Lucario doesn't really use any Steel type moves. But hey, at least we got that Pikachu Iron Tail as a true Steel icon. Number 12. Rock might not be one of Ash's most used types, represented by his Boulder and the Larvitar he looked after during the Johto saga, but it also holds the very Pokémon that won him his champion title, Lycanroc. In light of today's celebration, this Pokémon is a very special one and as such should be held in high regards. Some of his other Pokémon also use Rock-type moves, so I feel confident in saying that Rock is actually a pretty decently represented type in Ash's roster. Number 11. Releasing both Butterfree and that Beedrill he had for like half an episode, the only other bug types Ash still has are his Leavanny and Heracross, and although both of them didn't get the respect they deserved during their respective series, I still think they are two extremely decent Pokémon who can make for awesome battles and great wins. Plus, who could ever forget Ash's Butterfree? It might be gone, but never forgotten. Number 10. The first Pokémon to ever represent the Dark-type in Ash's team was the one and only boy Scraggy, with Crocodile following soon after. And while he did get 2 other Dark-types after that, unfortunately he released Greninja, which, according to our rules, makes for a 3.5 score for a Dark-type Pokémon, even though Scraggy, Greninja and Incineroar technically never used the Dark-type move to begin with. I guess it makes sense, seeing as how the Dark type is called Evil type in Japan, and well, Ash isn't exactly what you'd call evil. But fret not, Dark type lovers, because at least some of his other Pokémon such as Rockruff and Farfetch'd use Dark type moves, despite not belonging to that type themselves. Number 9. Although Ash might not be dark, at least he's toxic. By currently owning 3 poison types as well as previously, sorta, owning 3 others that he released, the poison type definitely has its place in Ash's roster of Pokémon. The added amount of 6 Pokémon catapults poison right into the upper half of this list. His most iconic poison types must be his Muk and Meganadel. While Bulbasaur might be more memorable on paper, it also never really used a poison type move. Muk has a great running gag with Ash, and seeing our boy team up with an Ultra Beast for his exhibition match against Kukui, which happened after he won the Alola League today 2 years ago, was just pure hype. Number 8. The most powerful type of Pokémon also has its place with 6 unique Pokémon in Ash's roster, but since he only released 2 of them, it's definitely above Poison. The first Dragon Ash ever got was his Gible in the Sinnoh series, but he didn't stop there, catching Noivern and Goodra and Kalos, Meganadel in Alola, and Dragonite, as well as his newest team edition Dracofish during his travels in Pokémon Journeys. Each of these beasts is, more or less, of a powerhouse, with Dragonite having a whooping 100% win rate out of 5 battles. If Ash would evolve his Gible and return his Goodra, he could have 3 extremely powerful pseudo-legendaries by his side. But well, I guess the anime wouldn't be nearly as exciting then. Number 7. With 7 Pokémon and only 1 of them being released, the Ground type is another one of Ash's higher ranking types. Donphan, Torterra, Gliscor, Gible, Palpitoad, Crocodile and even the Larvitar he looked after each have their own unique strengths and weaknesses, but one thing combines them: they are great representation for one heck of a type. The strongest one out of that selection might probably be Crocodile, which quickly became his ace during the Unova travels. And while others such as Torterra or Palpitoad might have a mixed reputation, I still feel like this is one of Ash's most rounded types and a solid selection of great Pokémon. Number 6 and number 5. Now we have 2 types who actually scored the exact same amount of points, being 7 with none of them being released. And while one of them might be a lot more iconic, technically speaking, they deserve the same amount of attention. These 2 types are Grass and Fire. Now I know what you're thinking. Fire has some of the greatest Pokémon from Ash, being Infernape, Incineroar and freaking Charizard. Now what does Grass have again? Some unevolved starters and a weak-ass turtle? And while that might be true, first of all, Fire has a weak-ass turtle too. And second, by having the absolute legend Sceptile on its side as well as the lovable Bayleaf and god Rowlet, the grass type is not to be messed with. And while true, a lot more fire types got a main focus during the series, I still feel like it's fitting both of them are technically on the same spot. Besides, grass is the type Ash owns most starters of, so while they might not be as strong as his fire types, the quantity at least speaks for itself. Number 4. Fighting. Thanks to Journeys, Ash got 2 great new additions to his roster of fighting types. But we can't forget the legends he caught before that. Heracross, Infernape, Pignite, Hawlucha, and my boy Scraggy. As well as the Primeape he gave away pretty immediately, as he did with lots of Pokemon from Generation 1. Nevertheless, there's no doubt fighting is one of the greatest types with a solid selection of Pokemon in the games, so Ash having that many different fighters adds up pretty well in my eyes. And while his Lucario might be on its way of claiming the spot as his best one yet, all of them have a certain sense of greatness. Number 3. With both other starter types out of the way, now it's time to get wet with water. By not only having 3 great starters, 4 if you count Frog, but also 5 other good water types, as well as 3 he released earlier, there's no denying that this is Ash's most used of the 3 elemental starter types, and while it might be true that only one of the water starters became his ace for a region, it's simply amazing thinking about the fact that Ash had at least 1 water type in every single region except for Alola, and even having 4 of them in Kanto, despite one of his traveling companions being a water type expert. While this might also be the type of the most unevolved Pokemon in his team, chads such as Breezel or Squirtle have shown us that you don't have to be evolved to kick ass. Number 2. This might come to no surprise, as this is the only type Ash actually owns at least one from in every series, but the second place goes to flying. Up until Kalos, it was a tradition that Ash caught a regional bird of the series, and even after that tradition ended, it didn't stop him from getting Rowlet and Dragonite. And while he did release 2 of his flying types in Kanto, he still has 11 of them under current ownership, which is quite a lot. By often using flying types in order to scout the area or chase after Team Rocket, almost all of them had their time to shine, and Ash's collection of birds and other flying things is truly astounding, making this a great fit for second place. Number 1. Now, since there are only 18 types in total, you probably already guessed which one the last one remaining is, and in fact, Ash owns the most Pokemon of the most basic type there is, Normal. He gave away both his Apom and Raticate as well as his Pidgeot, which leads us to most of the Pokemon representing the type, the birds. Out of 6 regional birds, 5 of them have the normal type, plus his amazing 6 attack using Snorlax. But wait, that's only 8 Pokemon and thus less than flying, isn't it? Well, enter Taurus. But not just any Taurus, but his 30 freaking Taurus. I know some of y'all knew this was coming, but yeah. Ash legally owns 30 different Taurus, thus adding up to a total of 38 normal type Pokemon, with 3 being released, which is almost thrice as much as flying. Now sure, if you only want to count the original Pokemon he owns, I guess normal is technically at number 4, maybe even lower, but he does indeed own the Taurus, so I can't just ignore that. So thanks to his sad catching streak in the Safari Zone, Normal is officially the type Ash owns most Pokemon of. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and could get some fun insight on Ash's team. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I wish you all a happy World Ash Ketchum Day.